Hello and welcome to Independent Voices here on JLJ Media. I'm the JLJ of JLJ Media, James Lott Jr. And I sit down with people in the insurance industry and we talk about how diverse it is, what we were doing, and why insurance is important to you. I get to meet people sometimes that I've never met before, and other folks I've talked to that I've known. This is a person we got to meeting. We're fast friends already. We've been talking fast friends already. I'm excited. He's actually the newly elected board president for IIABCAL, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And as a tradition on the show, usually have the presidents on here. So we're glad to have you on here for us. Let's give you a little bit. We're going to talk about where he comes from, but he has years of marketing, advertising. Well, I should say years or something like that.
Don't make me that old, James.
I know. I was like, I'm sure older than you are, but I was like, he's had years of marketing and advertising experience. We're going to talk about where he was doing it, which is kind of fun. But he did earn an MBA from the Anderson School of Business from UCLA, that school that's here in UCLA. Right. And he also has a CIC designation, of course. But he is part of the Bolton Company, which I know a lot of folks from there off and on. He's executive vice president. And I'm so glad to have him on the show. Let's talk to him and get to know him and see what's going on. Jonathan Schreter. Hi, Jonathan. How are you?
Hi, James. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. So congratulations. You are the newly elected board president. You come from there's some great folks before you. It's been wonderful. So how does it feel? First of all, how does it feel?
Oh, it's awesome. I started in this business back in 2004 at a small firm called Hoffman Brown Company out of Sherman Oaks. Oh, yeah. And as I dipped my toe into the insurance world, my mentor, a gentleman by the name of Mike Friedman, said, hey, if this is going to be your career, get involved in the industry association. And I haven't looked back. And here I am now, 18 years later, being asked to lead the state association for my industry. It's very humbling and a really important time for us. So I'm really happy to have this opportunity to lead this association at this time.
Right. You mentioned it. I shall lead into that because that's actually one of the questions I'll ask you. This is an interesting time for us because we're kind of coming out of the heavy pandemic part of the pandemic. People are going back to work. People are going back to work in various ways. Sometimes hybrid home office. Some are just at home. Companies have downsized the whole thing. So,
especially on the insurance side, it's a great question, James. As a business, Bolton is doing its best to bring people back into the office. We recognize the hybrid space is here to stay, and there's a lot to be said about the convenience of being able to work from home and some of the efficiencies of not being able to work instead of dealing with traffic and drive times and all that stuff. But the reality is our business is really dependent on what I call water cooler talk. That sort of small talk that happens by a chance encounter in the hallway with a colleague or a team member. And you're catching up on the weekend, but it reminds you, hey, what happened when we did X, Y, Z on that business thing? And that's missing in this. And the hybrid just can't duplicate that creativity that happens in the workplace. And I miss that. And I think it needs to come back. You certainly are scrolling through your Teams list or your Zoom list saying, oh, I haven't talked to James in a while. I'll double click on his name and hopefully he's at his desk. It's that spontaneity that's missing. And I'm hoping it comes back for us as a business.
Well, insurance is all about people, right?
It much more than people realize. It is a lot of numbers on a page and it's a lot of actuary and mathematical work that is the product itself. But ultimately, it's about relationships and being able to understand who you are, what your risk is, what your risk tolerance is. From the client standpoint in particular, that doesn't happen over periodic double clicks of a Zoom meeting,
Yeah. And I know, like in California, we have I days, certain places have different I where you get together, like you said, doing community work. And so, how impactful has it been for you starting, like you said, in 2004 and now becoming president to be doing this kind of community work along the way?
Oh, that's what I do it for. That's to the point you're making. Insurance is a common denominator across all businesses, all lives. That's what I love about it. You just never know what you're going to come across that needs your influence, support, solutions. And so to be back out among them at this sort of clip is exactly why I'm in this business. This is not an isolated business. It's not meant to be done just behind a computer screen. It's meant to be out among them, having conversations and learning about what's going on.
Yeah, it's very true. And I know that from my time in the insurance industry, it really is about networking, connection, all that stuff. It really is. I mean, whether it's education or actual insurance, like you need policy, some
Sure.
policy writing. I mean, it's one of the few. I mean, maybe you agree with me or not. It's one of the few industries where there's competition, but yet there's also camaraderie. So I like that.
Yes. On the broker side, I find they're in the same space. Oh, did we freeze up again?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You started to get to a good point. Go ahead. It's on the broker side.
Yeah. So among brokers, I think there's some camaraderie. We're sort of all in this space, and especially in a marketplace here in 2023 that is particularly challenging. I started in what was called a soft market, where rates were low and lowering year after year. That has not been the case for the last 3 to 4 years, and there really doesn't seem to be an end in sight based on a lot of factors that aren't uninfluenced by insurance. And so the camaraderie among brokers who are constantly trying to fight and find solutions for their clients is strong. We do fight a battle against the direct writers who make a lot of promises, I won't lie, in their advertising that sort of misleads the public as to what insurance is all about. This is not about 15 minutes saves you 15% anymore. That is not how insurance works. And that little lizard prompting that phrase on the regular gets into the thought process of our clients, and it takes sort of an uneducation in our work to reframe what insurance is all about and how risk actually works.
Yeah, reprogramming of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You hear those sound bites, and it's a little more than that.
And, we live in a world of 15-second sound bites and 150 characters on Twitter, and the world needs much more clarification than that sometimes.
Yes, and when it comes to insurance, especially because there are lives at stake in some cases, money, a lot of money at stake, jobs at stake. I mean, there's a lot of things at stake.
Yep, it touches a lot.
Yeah, it touches a lot. It does a lot in there too. Well, I mean, I talk about this with every president, kind of. I'm like, how do you think we find retention in this business, or perpetuation of newer brokers and agents in the association? What are some of your thoughts on that? Because I know every president has to deal with that. It's a industry. You always want new people, new blood. So what are your thoughts on that?
In the association or in the industry in general?
I guess both. I guess we talk about both. So I guess let's do both.
Yeah, I mean, the association is constantly on the lookout for agents and brokers who are dedicated to their craft and want to raise all ships. And so we collectively are looking to find those people who want to give back to their industry and help their peers be better at what they do and hold each other accountable to a higher standard. And I think that raises all of us up in an industry that, let's be honest, is sort of prone to having a negative image. The idea of the insurance salesman is the guy that Bill Murray punches in the face in Groundhog Day each day, Ned Ryerson. Like, yes. That's what people think about insurance, and we got to change that. So those that are interested in fighting that good fight, we're always on a good lookout to do that. And I think we've done pretty well from an association standpoint in identifying those members ready to give back. As an industry, it's challenging. And I think we need to reframe how people really think of insurance as a career. To your point, there's lots of different things you can do in the insurance industry that might hit your interests, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, whether it's actuarial work, whether it's claims management and sort of getting in the weeds from almost a legal standpoint about how the claims work. There's so many things that can really address a career interest that I don't think we do a good job at promoting. And I think people have just misunderstood the business to be about selling something. It's not. I got into this business because I'm not an entrepreneur, but I love the person that looks at the world through a lens that says that's a problem worth solving, and I'm going to build a business around it. You put me in a room with someone that views their business like that, and I will move heaven and earth to help them succeed. And there is no better seat to have in the house than through the lens of risk and through the lens of insurance, because risk touches everything that business is going to do: strategy, operations, finance, marketing. If you're doing it in business, there's risk attached to it, and you need to be thinking about what those are. And they go off into consulting, they go off into accounting or lawyer. No one has the same visual on a business that I do from my seat in insurance. And I think we got to do a better job of promoting it. So that's why I like talking to you.
Yeah, no, you're a good person to talk to too. It's funny because I've done, I don't mean 100 of these shows at this point, or whatever, and everyone has come from different parts of life, and but you can find a niche, whether it's like I said, marketing, advertising, advocacy. If you're a person who likes to advocate for things, there's a role for you there. If you're a
Correct.
lawyer, there's a role for you there. Medical, media. I'm in it as a media person. There's a role for a lot. It's a lot of different roles that make up a company and make up companies and make up the industry that you can be part of.
Yep. No doubt.
It's just it's incredible. And so I kind of want to go back a little bit to like where you came from.
Sure.
Because a lot of people I love hearing these kind of stories of like just how did insurance find you? Because I feel like it finds you. It's like you're not looking for it. It finds you.
No, rare is it unless your mom or dad's name is on the door.
Yes.
And there are plenty of those in this industry that have found success in that, and more power to them. It is a great career, but more often than not, you're going to find an individual like myself that has sort of stumbled his way into this as a career. My career started in marketing and advertising. I did, as you mentioned, the advertising for Coca-Cola for a number of years out of undergraduate school. In a very unique circumstance, I worked out of a talent agency called Creative Artists Agency that got tasked with this very unique opportunity to create advertising for Coca-Cola for 7 years. The Coca-Cola polar bears came out of our little team.
Okay, yes.
So a lot of people remember the original polar bears. And as the opportunity sort of wound up, I didn't know how to turn it into a career. So I got my MBA from UCLA, and I figured I'd learn the language of business and then see what happens on the other side of that 2 years. I did marketing and advertising for a little while, helping out sort of startup brands find their place. And eventually I wound up trying to help out Hoffman Brown, this small brokerage out of the Valley. And I thought I was going to help out with marketing and advertising. And they're like, no, you're going to help out with insurance. And having had my MBA and had sort of that consultative approach, put into me through that school, that's when I connected the dots. That's where I realized this is really a consultative role, not a sales job. And once I made that connection, the career took off and I haven't looked back.
So for you, it was almost a reframing of, oh, it's not this, it's this that made it more attractive to you.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Like I referenced Ned Ryder insurance. I mean, come on, we clear cocktail parties. No one wants to talk to us. I get that. I understand that. It's got a terrible image. But the reality is it's a really important part of how business works, how capitalism, for what, whether you like it or not, it's how we operate. It's vital. And once I connected the dots and realized what it was really about, that's really where I sank my teeth into it, and the career took off.
So there's a minute there you said you got your MBA, you was in business. What were some thoughts? Because insurance obviously wasn't in the thought process. What were some of the thoughts you were thinking? Do you remember what you were thinking about at the time?
About getting my MBA and how that connected?
So like what you might do with it, like what you were thinking.
It wasn't so much about insurance at the time per se. In fact, it's funny in hindsight, and I've gone back to the business school with this. The two things they don't cover too much in business school are sales, surprisingly, and risk, analyzing risk. They talk about marketing, they talk about strategy, they talk about operations, they talk about finance, they talk about HR, but risk and sales are not sort of core courses in business.
Not even sales? Really?
Yeah, not influence, negotiations, but they're kind of these one-off opportunities. Yeah. They aren't sort of integral to the curriculum. And so I wouldn't have thought about it until sort of looking backwards, hindsight being 2020. Yeah. But getting the MBA certainly gave me a well-rounded perspective of businesses that has helped me since then, because like I mentioned, risk applies to all those aspects. So I can talk to the marketing guy about his advertising plans and the risks that are going to be associated with it. I can talk to the HR person about the risks of hiring and safety of employees, et cetera. It's just such a wonderful background to have. I would encourage those that have the resource to get an MBA to do so, because it just brings that holistic approach to a business, to advising a business to the fore, and it makes a world of difference.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's so you also went and got your CIC, your Certified Insurance Counselor designation. And so what did that mean for you actually to go and get another kind of designation in your field?
Sure. Look, the CIC, I thought a CPCU was also, but there was a lot of
Right.
MBA in that. And I thought it'd be redundant to having had my
Okay.
MBA. The CIC as a certified insurance counselor just was the language of the business. This is a complicated business, and we know it. And sometimes I think we overcomplicate it, but you have to learn the language of the business. And so the CIC designation to me initially was I need to learn this language of this business I'm diving into and understand how it works. And now it serves as a wonderful continuing education opportunity to sort of stay fresh on what the topics are that matter, how risk is being analyzed in various ways. It's a no-brainer to add to the toolbox of an insurance broker.
Yeah, because insurance is always changing. I mean, regulations, laws, life. I
Yep.
mean, literally, COVID came in and
Change the way we view insurance policies, and all of it. And you have to, if you're going to advise your clients properly, stay abreast as to all those changes.
that's very true. That's so true. So you're executive vice president at Bolton. So what do you do at Bolton? So people say, what does he do over there? What are you doing over there?
So executive vice president is just a fancy title for being what we call a producer in this business. I'm the guy out in the streets trying to talk to businesses and convince them to come work with us. And I come supported by an internal team that brings client service, claims management, and loss control to the conversation. I am the relationship. I like to think of myself as sort of the circus wrangler in working with my clients and saying, hey, I'm your primary point of contact for all things related to risk and insurance. Come to me with the problem, and I'm going to go find the solution on the team to help you out. And then because of my background and because I like to network in the world, just being that guy that knows how to solve other problems as well. Bankers, lawyers, who do you know in this space or can solve this problem? I just like that role I have for businesses. And so that plays a lot into what I do as well.
Were you a friendly child?
A friendly child?
Yes. Were you a child that had a lot of friends? Were you like on sports teams?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I mean, look, I got fortunate, good parents, good household, a lot of freedom to sort of put myself out there and not feel failure in any way. And so that certainly lent itself. But yeah, I was pretty extroverted out of the gate, just like meeting people and learning their stories. I'm just a curious guy. Like I find a lot like you get to ask a lot of curious questions about who people are as people. I find people fascinating, and I love to learn about them and have since a very young age.
Yeah, no, me too. That's why I asked. I was a very friendly. Apparently, I came out the womb not shy. Apparently, so I was like, no, I know because I mean, because in insurance, I made a lot of contacts when I was there, and it's funny to come back into. I was gone for like 11, 12 years, then came back, and it was like, but they're like, oh, I know James, oh, I know James, like I know you, I know, like there's a lot of connection made in the insurance industry, and it's so I mean a wide range all over California.
It's a tight knit community, right? I mean, it is. I mean, it feels like a big deal, but it's not. It's actually a pretty small community, and when you're in it and you understand the work we're trying to do, to the earlier point about getting along with other brokers, that's the win here. That's the fun part, is that we're all kind of rowing this boat in the same direction, trying to make businesses better. And it's good to know people in that foxhole with you. That's just a cool part of this industry, is we're all trying to get it right and do it right.
Yeah,
it's cool.
No, I agree with that. I can talk to you forever, but I didn't want to end it on that. That's a great note to end it on. But congratulations on your board show, your board presidentship.
Thank you.
They are. You're a great guy, and I just wish you just so much more success. And maybe you'll come back on the show again another time, and we'll talk other stuff with insurance. I mean, you're a wealth of knowledge. I love it.
I appreciate that. I've spent we do a lot of disservice to the industry, which I was an undergrad, to educate the general public about what we do. And so if you want to come back and unpack some of those, I'd be happy to. It'd be great.
That's very good. Very good. Jonathan, Schreter, you guys, if they want to find you or talk to you at Bolton, where can they find you?
Jay Schreter at boltonco.com, and on Twitter it's at nothing to chance. That's a story for another day. I'll share it with you next time we talk.
Okay, I have to write that down. Okay, I like that. Okay. And of course, I'm James Lott Jr. Of course, Independent Voices is also part of IIABCAL.org. So you can go ahead and go there if you want to join an association or find out more about us and see more of the interviews. We're on audio and video. So audio, we're on all streaming service platforms, from iHeartRadio to Spotify, Apple, Google. There's all of them. Just type in Independent Voices. Yes, it used to be IIABCAL Voices. We changed the name a few months ago. But all the videos are there. So you can, and all the shows are there. They're also on my YouTube channel, JLJ Media. So subscribe, like, comment, follow and follow on the playlist. If you're afraid, talk to him yourself. You want some business, you come talk to me. I'll pass you on to him. I will be the conduit. It's fine. And for all of you guys thinking about, insurance, it's a great industry to work in, to be with. It's a great industry, folks. It's great for family life. It's great for everything. And it's an evergreen business. It's always evergreen. I'm James Lott Jr. See you next time.